You know what? I have a soft spot for villains. People are kind of exasperated with the tiresome storylines from recent sets, so let's take a walk back in time to revisit one of Magic's most notorious villains. When I was a kid back in the 80s, we had He-Man, right? He was a muscly dude with a page boy haircut whose sole purpose in life was to kick ass and roid rage with his tiger friend Battle Cat. He-Man, Battle Cat, really creative names back then. Anyways, I always wanted to be Skeletor when we played with the He-Man guys. Skeletor was another super muscly guy with a sword, but he was a little more complex. He had dark magic, he had some motives. More importantly, he had impeccable drip. And thusly was my fascination with villains birthed. Nothing like a good villain, man, and this guy takes the cake, so let's get into it. But first, like, subscribe, leave a comment for the algorithm. If you want to get super fancy, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the description, like my buddy Ashtar. Welcome to the fold, brother. Yawgmoth, Machine Father, also known as the Ineffable to his servants and referred to as the Lord of the Wastes throughout Dominarian mythology, was the god and progenitor of the Phyrexian race. Originally human in his early life, he was a medical genius of the ancient Thran Empire, known for his highly controversial solutions to medical ailments. Like Dr. Heimlich, he invented the Heimlich maneuver by tying a piece of meat to a string, sticking it down a dog's throat. Can't argue with results, but then he tried infecting cancer patients with malaria. That didn't work out so well. Now before all that, he was up to some nefarious activities, had quite the resume, set the black cough upon the dwarves of the Oran Deeps, turned the creeping mold of Argoth into a virulent plague that ate away the elves there, set the White Death upon the Minotaurs of Talrim, just to study its effects. He infected the leaders of the Cat People nations with rabies, and they tore each other to pieces. He poisoned the human tribes of the Galatomisha. He pithed and vivisected the Bay of the Shivan Vishino. Eventually, after years of manipulation and sowing chaos and war in Dominaria through his proxies and sleeper agents, Yawgmoth attained godhood. He turned into a dang cylinder, dude, look at him, and returned to Dominaria during the events of the Evasion Cycle. He was finally killed by the Legacy Weapon, the Deus Ex Machina that nobody understood, but involved Karn and Urza's eyeballs somehow. By that point, he was a giant death cloud suffocating Dominaria, and somehow the Legacy Weapon got him, dude, I don't know. But is he dead forever? Well, canonically, that's what they say, but nobody's 100% sure. Oh my gosh, look at this beautiful man. I remember seeing this for the first time and just being in awe of how well Mark Winters nailed the art. This guy's a goth icon. He's got that dark doctor look. Looks like McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy, the show where very mediocre looking women date the hottest dudes on the planet. Wonder who that show is for. Anyway, he looks sinister, merciless, intelligent. And here we have the Greg Staples full art version from Dominaria Remastered. This showcases the physician's dark side as he dissects some poor dude. Probably a dang census taker is eating his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Reminds me of the 90s goth icon Peter Steele, who you can Google, but keep that safe search on, brother. Let's take a look at the card. Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, 2 black for a legendary creature, human cleric. It's a 2/4, has protection from humans. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. Has black, discard a card, proliferate. Currently around $15 to $20 depending on the version. This is a powerhouse and your sacrifice decks are at the helm of his own deck. Now you can get into some infinite loops with a bunch of different cards depending on your color identity. Yawgmoth has a particular synergy with undying creatures. If you have 2 out there, say Butcher Ghoul and Geralf's Messenger, we can sacrifice Butcher Ghoul, put a -1/-1 counter on whatever. Then Butcher Ghoul comes back with Undying and has a +1/+1 counter. We sacrifice the Messenger and put a -1/-1 counter on Butcher Ghoul. I don't know if you knew this, but those counters cancel each other out and disappear. That's the rules, brother. Those 2 types of counters cancel each other out. I don't make the rules. Then the Messenger comes back with a +1/+1 counter on it. Rinse and repeat. Now, do we need some way to gain back that life? Yes, we do. So a life gain creature like Blood Artist is great to drain the table and feed our life total. We're also drawing our entire deck at that point. So if we didn't have an aristocrat, hopefully we can draw into one. But be careful not to deck yourself. Now Yawgmoth is also best friends with Mikaeus the Unhallowed for just that reason. 3 black for a legendary creature zombie cleric. It's a 5/5 with Intimidate. Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. Once a servant of the light, now a slave to the dark. Pair this guy with the Grey Merchant of Asphodel, and our commander and another non-human creature, and we're going to be golden, dude. You can also get into some similar loops with Sifter of Skulls and Pawn of Ulamog. These idiots make little sack fodder, so we can sacrifice them to Yawgmoth and do the same thing. But, you know, we're going to need a Zulaport out there or a Vindictive Vampire. Now, Yawgmoth also has incredible synergy with -1/-1 counters. Check this guy out. The Negro Skitter, 1 black for a creature elemental. It's a 1/4 with Wither. Whenever a creature an opponent controls with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, you may return that card to the battlefield under your control. This card is such a boss, man. Kill all those little utility creatures, get them out as sack fodder. This card is about $22 as we speak. And if you want to get real nasty, you can give this fella Undying with Mikaeus. You can win with poison counters. You have the Icarats out there. They have their goth makeup on. They're ready to go to the club. 1 black for a creature Phyrexian rat. It's a 2/1 with Infect. When this guy enters the battlefield, each player gets a poison counter. Aw man, you loop this guy 9 times, everybody has 9 poison counters, including you. That's okay. Just activate that second ability, proliferate everybody but you, and you win, buddy. Don't forget, Yawgmoth also has proliferate. Now, Yawgmoth's Phyrexian faction has some memorable characters, villains from Magic's deepest lore like his son, Karik, son of Yawgmoth. This guy is 4 and 3 black Phyrexian for a legendary creature, Phyrexian horror minion. It's a 2/2. Has lifelink. For each black in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. Whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Karik. Look at this bald king version. Now this guy is about $25 for that version or $6 for the illegible Phyrexian version. Nobody's going to know what this card does, brother. You can say it does anything you want. I have the one from the Commander 2019 deck, which you can read just fine. This is a house in any mono black deck. This guy spawned a bunch of Phyrexian negators, attacked the Tolarian Academy. What a G. Plus he seduced Joyra. Come on, dude. Joyra had a thing for the bad boys with spikes on their heads. What can I say? Now Gix finally got a card in the Brothers' War. 1 black for a legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. It's a 3/3. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. Has 4 black, discard X cards, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Gix, man, this is a $20 banger. He was one of the first humans to be completed and was Yawgmoth's right-hand dude. He played both sides in the Brothers' War and oversaw Mishra's completion. And of course, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. It's a legendary land. Each land is a swamp in addition to its other land types. Once again, $40 card, man. This synergizes nicely with Cabal Coffers. This was once a $100 card, the old Cabal Coffers. That's bonkers big mana, one of the big bonuses to playing mono black. And one more classic card depicting me tearing into a bowl of Lucky Charms, Yawgmoth's Will. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Until end of turn, you may play lands and cast spells from your graveyard. If a card would be put in your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. This is a reserve list banger. It's like $150, and I don't have one. I have the gold border from the year 2000, man. This is just a very cool old card that is worth the 3 mana whenever I've seen it cast. Get back your tutors, your combo pieces, whatever. You know, thanks for walking down memory lane with old Nicky G. I just wanted to have a little palate cleanser, take a walk back in time, explore some of the old villains, some of the old characters. You know, I was ripping packs in 2000, man. I was ripping Urza's up and stinking up a 3-bedroom with 8 guys living in it, man. Those were the days. Chatting about Yawgmoth brings me back. It's Nicky G from Better Commander, signing off.